And so this is the machine shop. Over here we have like all the plumbing supplies I talked about. We've got little bits and pieces of metal. We've got every kind of, we start out with bolts like what you use in your watch over here in all these little boxes. And we end up with, you know, big stuff. In fact, it gets a lot bigger than this over here, but you know, there's literally hundreds if not thousands of individual sorted boxes of anything you can imagine. Let's see if I can find my favorite one. Oh, here it is. This is something that I think probably only exists in this shop, and it's mid-flange nipple-headed shafts. You can make a song out of that. I have no idea what these things were used for, but we've got them and there's a special place for them. We've got gremlin hand parts, we've got cable stuff, we've got pins, there's another, I mean, you look through this stuff, pulleys and rods and worms, and I mean, who else has a cabinet with that? Of course, they're actually things like that, they're worm lead screws. But this, as far as I'm concerned, this room is the heart of the whole shop. It's all these little boxes of little tiny bits and pieces and some machining tools to handle them, and here we can build just about any kind of little device that you want. This is the main lathe. It's a nice Japanese lathe. We've got a couple of milling machines for doing hand milling, and you gotta look at the plumbing stuff, because this is all grown. This is like, you know, hydraulic fittings, unions, nipples, special unions, compression fittings. What else? There's some that are missing here, but elbows and T's and all the stuff you need to throw together some kind of a, you know, pneumatic thing. These are machine tool things, and the other favorite part that I have in the shop is what's in this thing here is just really very deceptive. This used to be a card catalog, but basically you go from solenoids and pneumatics to linear bearings, regular bearings, bushings, bearing assemblies. You got clutches, we have rollers and couplings and pulleys and sprockets and gears and bevel gears. We've got motors, we've got tape drives, we've got Swiss motors, can motors, medium-sized motors, pancake motors, stepper motors, you know, transmissions for motors, all little tiny motor kind of rigs, relays and terminal blocks and servo drivers and servos and connectors, and on it goes. With this little kind of card catalog thing, it's just amazing the kind of trouble that you can get into with what's in here. This is actually pretty interesting. This is something that I've struggled for years and to get it dealt with properly. And Chris, who is the main shop guy here and has been with me for ever since we've been in this building, his primary task, he's actually holding the camera right now so you can't see him, but his primary task was to make sure these stations, I call them, are stock, because I should never ever have to struggle to find a pencil or a Sharpie. This thing is already screwed up. I've got pins in here, I've got colored things. I can't, no matter what I do, I can't seem to get it to where it's exactly what I'm looking for. We don't want pens, we want, you know, half a dozen number 2 pencils, we want a Sharpie, which doesn't exist in here, we want 1 pair of scissors, X-Acto knife, a single calculator, I don't need 2. So this is my curse. It's like every time, it's a simple thing. You think there's supposed to be a pad of paper, a single pad of paper. There's supposed to be, this is a kind of a coolant in case you get a burn. a tape measure, and oh, there actually is one Sharpie. So this one isn't bad except for the fact that there's no roll of paper towel right next to it, which is the other thing. My thought on running the shop is there's certain basic requirements that I have to have. It's like every time we do something, we need a pencil, a piece of paper, tape measure, you know, maybe an X-Acto blade, a calculator, a Sharpie to make marks on metal or whatever that we're going to cut. It's basic. So we've got about a half a dozen or so of these stations around the shop, and try as I might, as long as I've had this shop, I've never been able to get anybody to keep these constantly filled exactly like they were requested to be filled. It just doesn't happen. It's kind of an out of control, like a derailed freight train around here, and simple things like that can't do it. It's impossible.